In the Philippines, there exists a creature that defies easy description. It slinks through dense jungles, perches on rooftops, and hunts the most vulnerable under the cover of night. Its name strikes fear in the hearts of those who dare whisper it, the Aswang. More than just a monster, the Aswang is a shapeshifter, a cultural chameleon that mirrors the fears, histories, and beliefs of the Filipino people. Tonight, we delve into its origins, explore its terrifying forms, and investigate how it has haunted the collective consciousness for centuries. To understand the Aswang, we must first look back to the spiritual framework of pre-colonial Philippine society. The indigenous worldview embraced a universe brimming with spirits, some benevolent, others malevolent. These spirits personified the forces of nature, the mysteries of life and death, and the eternal cycles of balance. In the Visayan regions, early myths spoke of creatures that wandered under the cover of night, stealing crops, livestock, and even children. These tales were cautionary, passed down through generations as warnings, interwoven with practical advice to avoid danger and explain the unexplainable. The Aswang, in its earliest form, was not a single creature but an amalgamation of these fears, a nebulous force that adapted its shape depending on the storyteller.
The concept of the Aswang likely originated as a survival mechanism. Don't stray too far from home. Don't trust every stranger. It served both as folklore and social control, ensuring the safety of vulnerable communities.
When Spanish colonizers arrived in the 16th century, they encountered a land rich in spirituality and folklore. To impose control, they reframed local beliefs to align with Christian teachings. During this transformation, the Aswang became more than a mere spirit. It was cast as a servant of the devil. Records from Spanish friars describe instances of mass hysteria, where entire villages believed themselves cursed by an Aswang. These fears were often manipulated to suppress dissent or reinforce colonial control.
The Spanish used the Aswang to instill fear in the indigenous population, equating pre-colonial beliefs with witchcraft and paganism. It was a psychological tool, a way to maintain dominance.
As the Philippines modernized, the Aswang evolved, transforming into a symbol of rural resistance and identity in an increasingly urbanized world. For many, it became more than a monster. It was a cultural guardian, a reminder of traditions threatened by change. In Filipino folklore, the Aswang shares characteristics with entities like the Manananggal, a vampiric being that splits its body to hunt, and the Tiktik, a horse-like trickster spirit. Though distinct, these creatures share common themes of transformation, predation, and a fear of the unknown. Globally, the Aswang finds parallels in myths such as the Chupacabra of Latin America and the Wendigo of North America. These creatures too embody local fears, whether of predators, famine, or moral decay.
The Aswang represents a universal archetype, the shadow self, the predator lurking in the dark, yet always tied to deeply local fears and traditions.
The Aswang is not just one creature. It is a category of beings, each more horrifying than the last. Its ability to transform into various forms has cemented its reputation as one of the most versatile monsters in global folklore. Take the Manananggal, for example. By day, she is a beautiful woman, seamlessly blending into her community. But at night, her torso splits from her lower body. Bat-like wings sprout from her back as she takes to the skies, her long tongue stretching to feed on the unborn. The Tiktik is her companion in terror. Known for its eerie ticking sound, this bird-like creature hunts alongside the Manananggal, amplifying fear with its deceptive cries. Folklore claims that the quieter the ticking, the closer it is. In other regions, the Aswang manifests as the Wakwak, a ghastly, bird-like creature that uses razor-sharp talons to feast on human flesh. Unlike the Tiktik, the Wakwak hunts alone, relying on brute strength and terrifying screeches to paralyze its victims. Then, there is the Sigbin, a canine-like form of the Aswang. It is said to prowl at night, walking backward as it searches for victims. Its glowing eyes and cries, reminiscent of a distressed child, lure the unwary.
The variations of the Aswang reflect the diversity of cultures within the Philippines. Each region shaped the creature to fit its environment and fears, resulting in a monster as multifaceted as the islands themselves.
For centuries, the Aswang has been more than just a monster. It has been a cultural touchstone, shaping behavior, beliefs, and even social dynamics. In rural areas, the Aswang myth was used as a warning to children, encouraging obedience and caution. It also reinforced community boundaries, discouraging strangers or outsiders from wandering into vulnerable spaces. Even today, the Aswang looms large in the Filipino psyche. From urban legends shared online to local superstitions, its influence endures. In some regions, people still avoid going out after dark, or take precautions like placing garlic or salt near windows and doors. The Aswang legend thrives on the accounts of those who claim to have encountered the creature, lending an air of credibility to the myth. In the 1940s, a series of mysterious deaths in a remote village were attributed to an Aswang. Witnesses claimed to have seen a shadowy figure with glowing eyes flee into the forest. In the digital age, the Aswang has found new life. Social media platforms are rife with viral videos and posts about alleged encounters. While some are clearly hoaxes, others remain unexplained, keeping the legend alive. Skeptics attribute these sightings to natural phenomena or psychological conditions like sleep paralysis or mass hysteria. But for believers, the Aswang is as real as the shadows that creep at night. Despite its unique origins, the Aswang shares traits with many monsters from other cultures, revealing just how universal the fear of the unknown truly is. Like the vampire of Eastern Europe, the Aswang is a creature of the night, feeding on the blood or life force of its victims. But while vampires are often aristocratic and seductive, the Aswang is deeply rooted in rural, working-class communities. The Aswang's shape-shifting abilities also draw parallels to Japan's Kitsune, or India's Rakshasa, creatures capable of assuming human form to deceive and prey on the unsuspecting. But unlike its global counterparts, the Aswang is unique in its versatility and adaptability. It is not confined to one archetype or moral framework. Instead, it shifts to embody the fears and anxieties of the people it haunts. For centuries, the Aswang has lurked in the shadows, feeding on the fears of the Filipino people. It is a creature that evolves with time, reflecting the anxieties of each generation. But perhaps what makes the Aswang truly terrifying is not just its ability to transform, but its reflection of humanity's darkest fears: the fear of the unknown, the loss of innocence, and the fragility of life. So, the next time you walk alone at night and hear the faint sound of wings or ticking in the distance, remember, the Aswang may be closer than you think.